Now there are three main styles of flight through the air when we do long jump: the stride, the hang and the hitch kick. For the stride jump style, the athlete maintains a takeoff position for as long as possible, and only as the athlete comes into the land does the takeoff leg join the free leg for a good landing position. It basically looks like you're trying to hurdle through the air and then bring your legs together for your leg shoot. Now, out of the three styles of jump, this is the one that's least used. It is also the one that uses the least amount of needs the least amount of technical efficiency in order to be able to perform. Therefore, you see a lot of youngsters or beginners utilize this style of long jump when they first begin, before moving on to maybe a hang technique. The hang technique, which involves the athlete seemingly looking like they're hanging in the air with their arms behind them, with their legs behind them, but the hips forced forwards. The arms go overhead to slow down the rotation about the athlete's center of gravity, and only do the legs and the arms come together for the leg shoot in order to prevent over rotation, and they only do this at the last minute in order to make sure you gain as much distance as you possibly can with a good leg shoot. The hitch kick is like a cycling action through the air with the legs and arms, in a windmill action with the arms. Now there are two types of hitch kick. You've got the new version, the hybrid version of the hitch hang, and you've got the traditional cycling windmill hitch kick. Hitch kick is often used by individuals who, for whatever reason, don't seem to get much height or vertical height of the board, and therefore rotating the legs around helps to extend that amount of time in the air. But also for people who over rotate on the hang technique and often come down early, to prevent that, you have this cycling windmill action of the hitch kick, which prevents them over rotating on that arc. In reality, when we do the long jump itself, the movements through the air don't necessarily gain you distance as per se, but instead prevent over or under rotation, making sure you're able to get your leg shoot out and able to claw and get as much distance as possible. With it, the distance is generated from the run up and the takeoff. You might not necessarily be able to gain distance when during the flight phase of the long jump, but you certainly can lose it from over or under rotation. Now with the hang, or the classic hang in particular, you drive the freestanding leg up and push your hips forward and move your arms and legs back in order to create that classic C-like pose. The open the hips out help us to get our leg shoot out. Now the arms need to move through and over throughout the process of the long jump, moving from their backwards behind the body position over into their forward leg shoot position. Now the second main type of long jump style is the hitch kick, and there is a hybrid variation of the hitch kick and the hang, although not very often used. It's often used by people who are moving on from a hang style into a hitch kick. The hitch hang involves the bottom half being more of a hitch kick style with a slight bit of a hang possibly, and the arms of a hang technique. Now the difference with this guy's variation is that he's forcing his leg a lot further forward, almost like a stride technique. Now what is different about the hitch hang technique is the motion off the board is like a running action. Yes, you can get different styles. In the normal hang technique you can utilize the operation of running off the board. However, that's more reserved for the hitch kick. And the reason being it's more reserved for the hitch kick is because you're running off the board and pushing that leg out and cycling that leg through rather than hanging in the air. Now the hitch hang revolves around you being able to have your leg, your front leg, further out in front of you, almost like a hitch kick, while the freestanding leg is brought out in front and the standing leg is brought in behind, almost like a hang. The signature of the hitch kick is the arms working like a windmill. However, in most times they work counterintuitively to the rest of the body. By working in opposite directions with your arms going backwards and your legs rotating forward, you prevent the over rotation that could kill your long jump flight. The main problem with the hang technique is that when we are doing the hang, we are trying to drive our hips forward and push our legs and arms behind us. Now this can create under rotation if you do this far too early within the jump. Now it can look impressive when you bring your leg shoot out, but that's only because with the hang technique it enables us greater ability to be able to get that leg shoot out. But what it does, it decreases that parabellum. It can prevent us, or if you like, create under rotation. When we rotate backwards, preventing us from getting the height, getting that perfect arc, perfectly smooth arc. Now, having our head up, looking up rather than looking forward, can also increase the chance of under rotation or rotating backwards. There is also a risk that we don't drive up and do that so-called Russian horse jump, that lunge in the air. And that's enable us to drive off the board and get into the height and allow us to get our flight action, get our hang out. If we don't do that, then that can create potentially great massive backwards rotation or massive forward rotation, which in turn kills the flight and means you get less distant. Now, the main problem with over rotation in the hitch kick is that if we don't get into that Russian horse jump technique, or we leave that Russian horse jump and go straight, leading with that front leg straight out in front, it creates an imbalance throughout the air. And through rotational and forward momentum and forces, it throws us down into the sandpit, therefore killing that parabellum, that arc, and resultantly less distance. You don't jump as far. Now, what I mean by a Russian horse jump, it's that technique of driving up into that lunge position with the free leg out in front and the driving takeoff leg behind. This is what you do on takeoff. That will mimic what you do in the air, as shown by these Russian athletes we filmed in Alphamar. Now, how we hit the board ultimately depends on what style of technique we're utilizing for our flight. If we run off the board, we're going to more likely be able to do a hitch kick, or more likely be doing a hitch kick. If we are placing it underneath us and dragging, we're more likely doing a hang technique. But this is not set in stone. There is no one method throughout the air that will make you jump further. However, it's all down to personal preference. Some of the biggest jumps in history have been from the hitch, or they've been from the hang, or they've been from a hybrid, or they've been from something that no one has ever seen before. Whatever you do should be best for you. It doesn't matter which style you utilise, as long as you get a massive jump from it. And it best works around your limitations and what you do best as a long jumper. What's better, the hang or the hitch kick? I posted a couple of shorts, one with Rebecca Chapman doing a hang technique, illustrating how her technique has now changed with a comparison of the hitch kick technique. Rebecca Chapman is 8th in the country but was previously 4th in Britain. 2009, she was 82nd in her age. If Rebecca Chapman was allowed into the 2009 Youth World Championship, she would have come 2nd from last. Grey line above the average of the World League, blue being her PB or season's best. The oranges are her averages. So what is better, the hitch or the hang? There is probably going to be one better for some people, but it's all an individual difference. What is best for you? In the case of Rebecca Chapman, the hitch kick, that variation was the best for her, but it was all the other things she did along that way and a little bit of luck as well that has made her a better jumper. Hi guys.